I'm in Shenandoah National Park, up in the Northern District, up near Front Royal. And the Front Royal entrance to the park is down there. This is Skyline Drive, and I'm at like mile marker 1. I'm just barely inside the park. There's a little pull-off here where I parked my car. Yep, there it is. There's Skyline Drive, heading south up towards the Dickey Ridge Visitor Center. And I'm going to hike over here. Well, I'm not going to be able to go there because it's straight up. So I'm gonna go north just a little ways down here and see if I can work my way up onto this ridge and see if I can find the Old Belmont Road. I'll explain more about it when I do the map talk, but there's an old abandoned road up here. And up here around the bend, up on that ridge, there used to be a couple of old homesteads. I'm going to go up there and look for them and see if I can find them. So for now, I am going to head down this way and see if I can bushwhack my way up and find the old road. 4/10 of a mile into my hike. My car's parked up that way. All I've done is hike 4/10 of a mile down, back down towards the entrance. But this area here looks pretty good for me to start my bushwhacking. So I'm going to start here, see if I can get up on that ridge and find that old road, and then just basically hike back up the same way I came, except up on that ridge line. So I'm going to go in here and start the bushwhack. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, I found the point, the old road. Down there, Skyline Drive. And here's the old road looking to the north. And then this is it heading up the side of the mountain. So I'm going to see if I can follow this up the side of the mountain for a ways. Now right here, it says, it's a survey stake, it says angle point. So maybe that's part of the park boundary. Anyway, I'll record this location and then I'm going to start heading up this way to the south. Okay, well, I'm starting to follow the road up the mountain, and there's the park boundary marker, some kind of faded out red paint. So it looks like this road is just a couple of feet on the outside of the park boundary. Still coming up the Old Belmont Road. That's the way I came from. And here's another marker stake that was driven in the ground, but it's knocked over, and it says angle point. So I don't know if where it's laying is where it was driven into the ground or not. So I'm not going to mark it, but I'm just going to keep hiking on up this way. The mountain's really steep here. Down there, Skyline Drive. Seven-tenths of a mile into my hike. I'm up to 1,080 feet elevation. Here's where I came from, and I'm up to a corner where the property corner where the park suddenly widens out by a huge amount. If you're coming up, first thing you'll see is this pile of rocks and that stake there. It says corner on it. And then here's Here's a sign, boundary line, the surveyor's tape, and triple red blazing. There's a fluorescent yellow stake. I assume it's a survey stake driven into the ground. And let's see if there's, and it looks to me like starting here, the road takes a slight bend to the left here, which would be more towards the east. So now the homestead I'm looking for, let's see, about another 2/10 of a mile. So I've got to do a little bit more bushwhacking up or near this road. That's practically impassable up right there, but I will probably go to the right and try and hike up this way a little bit. This might get really nasty up here. If it's too bad with thorny bushes and stuff, I'll just turn around, but that's a lot of what you see up here is land that used to be cleared out. When it grows back like this, that road there with all that stuff is what you end up with. So I'm going to go down this way, and we'll see if I can get over there to what I'm going to call Homestead Point A. So there's the middle of the road starting here. You can see how overgrown that is. So I don't think I'm going to try and push my way through that. I may just step around the side over here to the side and run along a little below it, and we'll see what happens. Well, I'm within about 400 feet of where I want to be, but if you look up here, look how cleared out, look how open and cleared out this is. Compare that to over there. So, I mean, that might even be a driveway going down that way. But this whole area is totally overgrown. It looks a lot like Belmont Vineyards was, and like I've said probably a million times, this is what Shenandoah Park looks like in places where people used to live, and now it's all just totally overgrown. And a lot of that stuff, that red looking stuff down there, those red vines, those are nasty prickly vines. I may back out of here and see if I can go wide down that way and then sneak up from the bottom. One mile into my hike, the elevation is 1120. That's where I came from. Now the road's up there a ways, but it's just completely overgrown. So I swung way wide here. That's where I came from. And this is the second netting. And here's the third netting. And there's the fourth netting that I've seen up here. And according to my GPS and compass, I'm about 200, I need to go about 250 feet that way. So I don't know, I might see if I can get in there, but it looks pretty bad. I'm also starting to wonder if I may have to look over the edge there and see how Skyline drives down that way, like way down that way. I may look over the edge and decide whether I want to try and hack my way back the way I came, or maybe maybe take the easy way out and just jump off the cliff and go down to Skyline Drive that way. I got wings, I can fly. .1 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 1140. And I'm within about 100 feet of where I wanted to be. And hacking my way up through here, I noticed there's quite a few little trails where people or animals, probably people, this is cleared out right here. People have been, the last 100 feet's up that way, up into the prickly bushes, so I may not get there, but I'm gonna wander around a little bit and see what I can find. But this is the area. It would have been a homestead. If I was putting a homestead up here, I would have the front of it facing this way, down the slope of the mountain, where you could see the other mountains like this. And then there's a couple of areas, dished out areas that might have been driveways, but I'm not sure. And then anyway, the rest of the road's up that way a short distance. I skipped that part because it was just hiking, it was just too brutal. But this is the area here. I am gonna wander around and poke around a little, see if I can see anything. But you can maybe tell from this that it's pretty overgrown up here. So right up there somewhere is where I think one of the homesteads used to be. You can tell people have been walking around up here. See this little trail right here? And there's an open area there. And then there's another open area right down here. In the middle of all this nastiness. So, I don't know. My car is way down on Skyline Drive in that direction, but the mountain looks pretty steep over there, so I may have to retreat and head back the way I came. When I get out of this nasty stuff, I'm going to look over the side of the hill there and see if if I can find a shortcut down. Well, look what I found. I might have mentioned that it looked like people have been up here wandering around. I was looking for the homestead over there, but I'm kind of giving up on that, and I was just wandering around, and look what I found. It's like a lean-to. You come up here with a tarp, you could just throw it over there and you'd have yourself a little camping spot. It doesn't look like anybody's been building any fires up here. There is a rock there. Somebody could have used that just to sit on. But for a camp, it's pretty clean. So, and see, I don't know if this is going to show up, but the trail kind of goes back over that way, down the side of the mountain that way, which would be heading to the north. So I'll mark this on the with my GPS. Pretty interesting. So one more thing about this lean-to. Look at this. It looks like they lashed the tree limbs together with. It looks like maybe they cut some green vines and lashed these things together with a green vine that then, you know, dried up and locked them all together. Here's what the end of it looks like over here. Not too far away from the lean-to is this teepee. Check this out. Never seen anything like it. It's made out of, I guess they started out with, made a frame out of, you know, limbs, and then they shaved the bark off the trees and used that to cover, like for shingles. It's got this one opening here. It's got one opening there. And here's another really interesting thing. He's got a fireplace set up here. So that's obviously a fireplace. And here's the really interesting part, is look what he made it out of. That thing's made out of bricks. Now I know they didn't carry those bricks up here. So those bricks probably came from the homestead that I've been looking for. I wish it wasn't so overgrown up here. Maybe I could find the old homestead. But anyway, look at that. Somebody grabbed a bunch of the bricks from up here and used them to build this little brick fireplace. Couple of tarps that they probably, you know, cover it up with when they're inside. Never seen anything like it. But I've been following these little trails around. They're just where the tall grass has been pushed down by people walking around up here. And look what I found. So let me hop over this thing. Oh, little teepee up here made out of trees. I'll mark it on my GPS. .4 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,020 feet. There's Skyline Drive. I worked my way kind of down straight down the side of the mountain. Well, I zigzagged a little bit. But I'm in this canyon. The canyon's right there. And it comes down here and it's just a huge vertical wall going up to the road. So instead of doing that and jumping up like Superman, I'm gonna head north this way and see if I can work my way down over there somewhere where the cars are just appearing. If not, then I'm gonna have to go over this ridge here and come down on the next low spot. Let me see if I can work my way over right there. I'm getting closer to the road. Look. Up there's where I came from. Crazy, crazy steep. Loose rocks. All sorts of trip hazards. Thorny bushes. But I'm getting real close now. Look, I made it down to the road without killing myself. And look over there, there's my car. How's that for navigating? And there's where I came from, way up there. Way up there with the briars and the brambles. There's where it drains under Skyline Drive. There's Skyline Drive heading up towards Dickey Ridge. The Old Belmont Vineyards is over that way. I've done that hike a couple times. That's pretty nasty hiking over there. And there's my beautiful red car. I gotta go get in it. So just for the record, I think if you park there and come this way to the bend in the road, you could probably, since I came down that way, you could probably go up that way. But it's really steep and you gotta watch what you're doing. But now that I've done it, I think you probably could work your way up that way. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Front Royal 1994, and this was a bushwhacking hike looking for what I'm calling homesteads A and B. I don't know who lived there, but they're located on the map. A is located right here and B is located right there. Now I got those locations by looking on an older map. This is the same area in 1939. Now 1939 was after the park was formed. The park was formed around 1935. And this is, the Front Royal is up here. And this black line is Skyline Drive coming up the side of the mountain. But before the park was formed, there was no Skyline Drive, and before then, the road that took you up the side of the mountain was called Old Belmont Road, and I highlighted it here in pink. And it came on up the side of the mountain, and right there, it shows a driveway and a homestead, and then a little further up on the mountain, here's another driveway and another homestead. So I decided these are within the park boundary. So I decided to go looking for those. So back to a more modern map. So what I did was I came up from Front Royal, I came up Skyline Drive, and I parked right here. You go through the park entrance and then the mile markers start, and when you get to about between mile marker 1 and mile marker 2, there's a little pull off to the right just ahead of this hairpin turn, and I pulled over there. And if you look at where A and B are, they're very close to this, but this is extremely steep right here. So what I ended up doing was I hiked back down Skyline Drive towards the entrance looking for a part of the mountain that wasn't quite so steep. So when I got down to here, I started bushwhacking up like this until I hit the old road right here. Now the X mark denotes a survey stake that I saw driven into the ground. So there was one there, another survey stake here, and a third set of marks here. Now you'll notice here the park widens out. All this becomes part of the park on to the east. So I was able to follow this up fairly easily. Once I got into the main part of Shenandoah Park though, this part of the road here is just extremely overgrown. So I started looking for an easier way to get over here to point A, and I ended up coming around like this basically. I went west of it and downhill some. Now when I got over into this area, again, it's extremely overgrown. And so I looked around as best as I could. I never did find like a foundation of a building or anything, or piles of rocks. But right here I found the wooden frame of like a lean-to that somebody put together. And then not too far below that I found a teepee constructed out of wood, wood logs and wood bark. So I checked those out. Now I had so much trouble bushwhacking here that I gave up trying to get all the way up here to point B. So instead, and I didn't want to go back the way I came, so I started looking for an easier way to get back to my car, which is right there. So I basically went back, zigzag down the mountain here. This is really steep, but I got down here and got back up onto Skyline Drive this way and back to my car. So to me it was interesting looking for this place. I don't know why these things are built here. I don't know why there's this lean-to and a teepee just happens to magically be right here in this area. This is not an area that I would pick out of thin air to put those things there. So there must be some reason why somebody put them there. Maybe one thought I had was maybe descendants of whoever lived here maybe are camping up there just for fun. Anyway, this was a really short hike, but it was pretty difficult because of the bushwhacking. 1.5 miles and about 300 feet of ascent. And that was the hike for today.